Chapter 1. There are infinite resources created for every challenge you will face. From the day you were born, God knew the path you would take in life, including every mistake you would ever make. So even your mistakes are part of God's plan, and you can never go wrong. Take a second to think about where you are right now and how you got there. Consider all the steps that had to happen for you to be in this exact moment. I'm sure at one point in your life, you felt like things were not going to work out, but suddenly, in the nick of time, you got exactly what you needed. Maybe you believed it was luck, or perhaps you felt it was an answered prayer from God. But everything you've experienced till now has always been part of a greater plan, and the timing of the universe is always perfect. As long as you relentlessly pursue your dreams, no matter how hard the journey becomes, trust that God will provide everything you need to persevere. Chapter 2. Your dreams are more important than you can imagine. There is a reason you want the things you do. We were all born with a unique purpose and desires that would mold us into who we are meant to be. Unfortunately, many of us get so distracted by what others have, we lose ourselves. We might see the lifestyles of celebrities, friends, and family who appear to have amazing lives and believe we can have the riches they have by doing what they do, only to realize when we try it, we don't have the same success. I had to learn this the hard way. My mom managed to build a great career in real estate, and at the peak of her career in the early 2000s, managed to make roughly $500,000 a year. My brother and I were able to experience great things growing up, and as a result, I went down the same path my mom did and became a real estate agent and loan officer. I was able to have some sales, but not enough to sustain a lifestyle. It took me nearly 10 years to realize that I had zero interest in real estate as a profession and was only doing it to achieve the lifestyle for my family as my mom did for me. Another lesson I had was when I joined the Navy. Although I am grateful for the amazing experiences I had and the friends I met, whom I consider family today, I chose that path because it was the same path my dad took. I remember calling my dad before I decided to join the Navy and asking him for his opinion. He thought it was a great idea. After completing my 4-year contract, I chose not to re-enlist because military life didn't suit me. I was born and raised in Southern California and always believed that's where I was meant to be. But then around 2008, I moved to Arizona with my mom as I couldn't afford to stay in California any longer. My mom had moved to Arizona a year or two earlier as the cost of living was much lower. I eventually grew to like Arizona, and this was the beginning of thinking for myself and asking what I wanted out of life. After working many odd jobs, I stumbled upon an opportunity to become a chess coach, teaching elementary school kids how to play chess. I loved doing it and was able to continue for about 5 years. Although chess was my passion, it wasn't the most lucrative, and I needed to find a way to make more money. This led me to get my insurance license, and still to this day, roughly 15 years later, I am still a licensed insurance agent. While in Arizona, I met the love of my life and we had a son. For a few years, we were happy in Arizona, but over the years, the heat was getting worse. The traffic was getting worse, and the cost of living was starting to look like California, and Arizona was no longer this place either one of us enjoyed. One day, we decided to move, so we got out a map and looked at each state, concluding that Georgia had everything we were looking for. Before making the move, I wanted to complete a Medicare open enrollment period and use the money I made from bonuses to help with the transition. And that's exactly what we did. The Medicare open enrollment period ended on December 7, and shortly after that, in 2013, we packed up everything we could fit in our car and drove across the country. We had the mindset that we would figure out everything once we moved to Georgia. With my insurance license, I could work anywhere in the US. So I honestly thought we would be able to stay in an extended stay for about a month or so, and I would immediately find a job, and it was going to be that easy. Boy, was I wrong. I must have applied for hundreds of jobs and went to dozens of interviews, and nothing was working out. Fortunately for us, it turned out Janelle had an aunt who lived outside of Atlanta and welcomed us into her home. When we told her how we ended up in Georgia, she told us, God takes care of babies and fools, which still makes us laugh to this day. You see, it wasn't only the fact we moved cross country without having a plan, we also did it at the worst possible time. In December of 2013 and early 2014, the southern states, especially Texas, had a record-breaking storm that would nearly turn the state of Texas into an apocalyptic-like environment. We remember seeing many cars abandoned on the freeways, driving through black ice, severe snowstorms, rainstorms, and heavy fog. It was like this for hundreds of miles. But somehow we made it to Georgia safely. We would eventually reflect on this and believe God and our angels were with us the entire time. I share this story because this was part of my journey. Despite making countless mistakes and doing what most people would consider crazy, God made sure I would be taken care of. He knew we would need help and provided us with Janelle's aunt, as well as all the resources we needed along the way. Chapter 3: Your Journey with Relationships. The people in your life are put there for a reason. One might even say that the people in your life are meant specifically for you. When I think about the love of my life, Janelle, you could say we have quite the love story. From the summer of the year 2000 till May 2004, I was stationed at the Norfolk State Naval Station in Virginia. During that time, Janelle lived in Norfolk, Virginia, and attended Norfolk State University. While in Virginia, Janelle had a job at the mall working in a store that sold Sean John clothing. One day, I went shopping there for polo shirts and sweaters. The store I went to happened to be a store that sold Sean John clothing. Keep in mind, Janelle and I didn't meet until 2008. After meeting Janelle, she mentioned there was only one store like the one I mentioned where she worked at, and she was practically there 7 days a week. So there was a good chance Janelle sold me the clothes I bought that day, and we had no idea we would meet nearly 10 years later in Arizona, start a family, and be together ever since. I can't tell you how many times we replayed the moments in our minds, trying to see if we had met each other back when we were in Virginia. When I first was getting to know Janelle, she told me she wasn't ready for a serious relationship and took a year off from dating to grow personally. So if we had met that time, she wouldn't have been interested in me. And at the same time, I was on sea duty in the Navy, going back and forth out to sea, so it wouldn't have been a good time for me either. I often think about this and how amazing and perfect the timing of the universe is. Chapter 4: Your Journey with Careers. You must understand that your career in life should be your passion. You will have the greatest chance of success by doing what you love because God has already given you the resources you need for your journey. So many people insist on living hard lives because they feel it's necessary, but living a hard and unhappy life was never part of God's plan. Being unemployed forced me to think about my next move. I was forced to think about a job I could have and what made the most sense to me. At first, my focus was on jobs and careers that paid well, but none of those worked out for me. So I started thinking about the life I wanted to live and what that life looked like. I asked myself, if I won the lottery, what is something I would still be doing? For this, I had to think deeply on who I was throughout my life. I had to reflect on who I was throughout my life. I have always inspired others. Before I returned home to California, my friend Maria from Sweden wrote me a heartfelt letter, telling me I was a light that dispelled darkness and that things would be dark again once I was gone. Even now, over 24 years later, I can clearly picture her in that moment. When I was on tour in the Navy aboard Harry S. Truman, I remember writing poems and a prayer I made while out to sea. Nearly 10 years later, I would publish those poems in my first book. The career I loved the most was the time I was a chess coach for after-school programs in Arizona. The career I spent the most time in, however, was being a Medicare sales insurance agent. As an insurance agent, I spent most of my time getting to know people and understanding what they needed. In many ways, this role required me to use my skills as a teacher when it comes to educating people about how insurance works and plans available. One day, while talking to one of my coworkers about Forex, it intrigued me to learn about currency trading, and I immediately fell in love with it. It took me years to learn it professionally, but once I did, I noticed many others were also interested. This inspired me to create my own Forex program. I used my skills as a writer to create my trading manual, built a website and a group on Facebook, and managed to get over 70 students worldwide. I have students as far south as Australia, as far east as Korea, and all throughout the UK, the US, Canada, and I think even Greece. Still to this day, I'm amazed at this. So who am I? And when I answered that question, I realized I was a creator. In reality, we are all creators in this universe. This led me to start a YouTube channel, and I was able to achieve monetized status so I could earn money by sharing my stories and tips with Forex and spreading the word about the law of attraction. But you see, this is so deep because rather than focusing on money, I focused on doing what I love because I know God has worked out the money part. God will always make sure I have everything I need to do my passion and serve my purpose in life, because that's His plan too. Once I truly understood that, I embraced everything I did with joy and didn't stress about how much money I was making. I noticed my videos on YouTube were performing better. I was attracting new people to my Forex program and developed a deeper awareness of how resourceful the universe is. Chapter 5: Why You Matter. Each of us plays a part in one another's life journey. Your very existence could be the reason someone else's dream comes true, and someone else might be the reason your dreams are realized. Even if their only role was simply saying hello, never underestimate the impact you make on other people. I say this because you never know if the people you meet are at a turning point in their lives and are just waiting on a sign from the universe to do something drastic. Your smile could inspire them to change jobs, start a new relationship, while a frown might lead them to do the opposite. You see, many of us wake up each day looking for signs from God and the universe for help with decisions we want to make, and many of those signs come from other people. I am a big fan of playing the lottery because it's a great visual of my alignment and vibration. Being able to choose the right games and play the right numbers means I need to be in sync with my attraction. The results of how much I win or how I react to losing tickets tells me everything. I used to get upset if I had days where all my tickets were losers, and I noticed there was a connection. When I had that desperate feeling or sense of urgency as I felt I needed to win because I needed money, those were the days I didn't win anything. However, when I changed my strategy to not caring about the results and lowered my budget to an amount where it didn't matter if I won or lost, I began experiencing days where I turned $5 games into winnings over $100. Ultimately, I learned to appreciate even the small wins and not feel disappointed about missing out on the big ones I was aiming for. Many people in the same situation wouldn't be able to enjoy small wins because the small wins are not big enough to change their lives. This is why gratitude is important and why we need to practice it actively. Additionally, I grew to understand that my losing tickets were very important for someone else being able to win. Because just like other people matter to me, I matter to other people. And we are all here to help each other in this journey called life. So if I have a day without any winning tickets, I remind myself that I've brought someone else closer to winning. I find joy in the idea that my losses are helping someone else succeed. In this way, my losing tickets become winners. This mindset makes it impossible for me to lose. Therefore, the only possible outcome is for me to win. And one day, when it's my turn to win big, the way I feel now will feel the same. And you see, this is the secret to achieving the vibration or frequency of what it is you desire. Before you get what you want, you need to find a way to get into alignment with it. And learning to trust the process is a very effective way to align with anything you want. You could even say, I am going to be a millionaire and I'm going to trust the process. Watch what happens. There's no resistance in that statement. It comes naturally, it's easy, and because you're trusting the process, you're allowing God, you're allowing the universe to use all the infinite resources out there to make what you want come to you. It's so powerful. Now, every time that I want something, I always say to myself, I am going to trust the process. Most importantly, don't forget your dreams are part of God's plan, and you can't go wrong. You have everything you need to keep going. Any resources you need will come to you at the right time. Live your life to the fullest and watch how everything falls into place. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to this short story, and I hope you all understand how important and special you are. You are a blessing, and make sure you are a blessing to others. All the best, and have a great day.